Okay, so this is good angle. This is good angle. Alrighty. All right, we'll just wait. Okay, it just turned 8 o'clock. All right, so yes, God. Hi, everybody. I'm Megan. This is my husband, Jonathan. This is our newborn baby, Justice. She's 7 weeks old. I am the CEO of Yes God Wellness. If you don't know me, Yes God Wellness is a holistic health company dedicated to the mind, body, spirit connection. My husband and I are going to just talk about some questions we've been asked. If anyone has any questions that they would like to ask, please don't hesitate. For a little bit of background information on us, we met and started dating a few months after we met. And then from the day that we started dating until my husband proposed was about 3 weeks. And then we got married 6 months later, and we have a newborn baby daughter 6 months after that. So that being said, we do consider ourselves, I guess, attempting intentionally being a mindful relationship. By no means do we have all the answers, but we just want to speak to our own personal experience. And so one of the questions that we got was, how did we know that each other was the one? And so I guess I can go ahead and answer that first. Honestly, I didn't know at first, to be completely honest. When I first met Jonathan, I was like, oh God, no. I was like, this is not my type.
Right.
This is no. I mean, we joke about this, but seriously, he was not my type. I was like, no. And then, so not saying that there is no such thing as love at first sight, but I don't think that was our experience. It wasn't like when we first saw each other, it was like, oh my God, that's the one.
Right.
It was more so after, we started communicating and being vulnerable and opening up with each other, where we were like, oh my God, wow, we have a lot of synchronicities.
Right.
But I think when did I know you were the one? I don't know if there was a specific moment that I knew that. I feel like I was just like kind of, it was unfolding and I was discovering, and it was like more and more things were being revealed, and I was like, wow. But the one time that he did get my attention was when he asked me for my birthday and time that I was born. And I was like, what do you know about astrology? So
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for me, as far as with love at first sight, it was a meeting of the minds. I think that, again, like she said, our conversation and communication, and different books we were reading, and just a lot of similarities of things about again, synchronicity, about frequency and vibration, and just kind of
we were genuinely into all the same things. Sorry.
Yeah, right, and just understanding life as it flows, and just just being open, and then also just being non-judgmental about one another. You know, I think that's what kind of really set it off for me. That we both kind of looked at each other as a clean slate, even though we both have pasts. Like everybody has a past, so everybody has baggage or whatever you want to call it. I think that we kind of approached each other as just a blank sheet of paper, and who you are is who you are now, and not who you are yesterday. And so I think that was kind of good for us as far as us kind of gelling. Yeah.
And then, so another question that we received was, again, the progression of our relationship moved pretty quickly. And so someone asked, how was that received by the people that are close to us? Both of us had children coming into the dynamic. And then, of course, our family and our friends. When you start dating someone and you're serious about them, you kind of introduce them to everyone. So, people want to know, how did we deal with people maybe feeling like things were moving too fast with us? Bless
Yeah. Yeah. For me, after I proposed like 3 weeks later, we were up in New York in our hometown in Rochester, New York, and visiting her family and things like that. And then we actually went to Charlotte. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, to visit with my family. But I kind of reached out to my homeboys, good friends of mine I grew up with, long time friends and guy friends I went out with, and I let them know. It was January. It was January of 2020, and I called a lot of my guy friends, letting them know, hey, I just proposed to the woman of my dreams, and I'm getting married this year.
So what did you say when they told you were crazy?
I don't think because I think you were there when I called them, but I don't think any of them were crazy. I think they were like, okay, John.
I was gonna say too. Like, I feel like we didn't. I mean, I think the children. I think my older children were kind of like, Mom. Like, that was the only kind of resistance that there was. But I think one of the synchronicities, one of the things that we have in common is that we both do what we want to do. And I know for me personally, I'll speak for me. I do what I want to do, and I make executive decisions easily. I'm not the type of person that kind of, I don't know, should I? I don't ask people for permission when I make a decision about my own life. And so everyone who knows me and cares about me knows that about me. So it was kind of like, okay, Megan, this is what Megan's doing now. We're just going to roll with it, And so I think that's important to, I think the question is important, but I think even more so, it's important to understand that you can't make decisions based off what other people think and what other people, reactions and responses are going to be to your life. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, you have to live with your decisions. Your family and your friends, yes, they have to kind of vicariously experience your decisions, but you're the one that has to actually live with the consequences of your decisions. So, if you feel like you're ready for something, and you have people in your life that may not approve of it or feel like, okay, you're moving too fast or you're moving too slow or whatever the case may be. And this is not even about necessarily relationships. You have to still be, are you talking with us? You have to still be resolute in your decisions. You have to make choices that make you feel good. You can't live for other people. You can't live for your parents. Excuse me. You can't live for your children. You can't live for anyone other than yourself, because at the end of the day, again, you're the one that's going to have to live with that decision.
Yeah. For me, again, I asked her about when she was born. I'm into astrology, yes. I'm an Aquarius sun, Aquarius moon, and Cancer rising. So I'm a big time Aquarian. So, I'm very free spirit, open mind, take risks, things like that. But one thing that happened when we were in Charlotte, we went to a basketball game to see the Charlotte Hornets play, and they had the kiss cam. And actually, I have a relative that plays in the NBA. He plays in the NBA, and on the big jumbotron screen, when it's time to kiss your significant other, we ended up on the screen. We had just started dating, and we ended up on the big jumbotron. And my family was there. My family had never met her. We were all there to support my cousin who plays in the league. But after the game, we went down to meet with our family and stuff like that. And my aunt said, "Well, I saw you kissing this lady, a woman, on the jumbotron." I said, "This is my fiance. This is who I proposed to." And it was the first time my family ever met her. And this is again, just a couple of weeks in. And so my family had met her early on back in 2020. And so, but the moves that we made as far as making it that I made for me was this being a man, also being a man and just being able to make a decision about what you want in life. And that's pretty much what I kind of tell anyone as far as what you want to do career wise, or I can say buying a pair of shoes or getting some ice cream or whatever. It's about relationship. It's about making the decision, making a choice, making a decision, and then just sticking with it, or just holding yourself accountable to the decision about something that you want to do. If you want to take a trip, I'm gonna take a trip, plan for the trip, and take that trip. And so, yeah, a lot of people will say we move kind of fast, but it's also a concept called quantum leaping, or quantum jumping, quantum leaping, and that's a kind of a theory or idea of having something that you want to accomplish and do, and then doing it or being there,
allowing it to happen and not stopping it with worries or doubts or fears. And so I think that's also good that you brought that up, because I feel like a lot of us, we have these things that we want to manifest. We have these things that we desire for ourselves. And then, but we're not necessarily ready to receive those things yet. And so when the opportunity knocks for us, we ruin it before it has a chance to kind of manifest into fruition. And so we talked about this in the first video that, in terms of our relationship, I feel like we both did a lot of work in terms of defining what it is that we wanted. And we both had to make decisions about, allowing this relationship to come into existence. We had to make decisions that would enable that to happen. Because in order to be able to say yes to what you want, you have to have the courage and bravery to say no to what you don't want. And sometimes that can be scary, because even if it's not what you want, it may be something that you're comfortable with or you're familiar with. And so you have to be, it takes faith. It takes faith to let go of something that you don't want, because you're like, well, what if this new thing doesn't work out? Then I'm not going to have anything. And so you just have to understand that the way that manifestation works when it comes to relationships or anything is that you can't entertain anything other than what you want. That's the only way for what you want to be able to come to you.
Right. Yeah, she hit the nail on the head. You can't entertain anything else but exactly what you're focusing on and what you want to have. Again, relationship, career, or whatever it is, it's that thing, focusing on that thing, and then just again allowing the universe or God to give it to you, and not thinking that it's a whole lot of work and effort that you got to put in, but that things are going to line up according to the design that God has for your life, and the blessings that God has for your life. So, what you want to do?
No, I got it.
So,
excuse me, all. I have to nurse my daughter. So,
but
a moment. So, if anyone has any questions or wants to have any dialogue, I'll let you know if they put something in there. I'll read it. You can go ahead and put a note inside of. Actually, you can put a note inside of YouTube, or you can hit the question button at the bottom of the live. I love this thing. It's called a milk snob. Yes, God. Whip them out anywhere. Nobody can see it. Hopefully. Because knowing me,
are people saying something? I can't see that.
No, nobody's saying anything.
What else want to talk about?
No, everyone's great.
Okay.
We don't have to talk about anything else. I mean, this doesn't have to be a super long live if we're not getting.
But yeah, she's amazing. yes, I'm thankful. God is good.
I'm thankful too. You know, and that's
And
another thing, just like with anything, gratitude is really important because relationships are not easy. I don't care how fast they start. Like, I don't care, you know, if it is love at first sight or if it's love at third or fourth sight, and, you know, things, it is the man or woman or person of your dreams, and, you know, you get married and have a baby and buy a house and all the things we've done and sail off into the distance. It's still work.
hmm
You know, that doesn't exonerate us from having to do work, and not just do work in our relationship, but really do work on ourselves. And
and from a male perspective, you know, we have these egos as men, and that whole ego thing about that id and super ego, you got to take that ego and just kind of put that aside and be able to humble yourself and listen to the one that loves you and is trying to love you, and helping you become a better you.
Mhm.
You
Because the
know,
one that loves you is going to bring issues and things to you about yourself that you may need to look at or change to become a better person. And so you have to be mature enough to be able to receive that and not just feel offended or take it personal or think that someone's trying to criticize or bring you down or tell you what to do. And I think that that's something that happens a lot inside relationships, is that you know, people feel offended.
right?
But it has to be, I mean, it needs to be, that's why it's so, communication is so important, because you want to make sure that you're communicating with a person in a way that they still feel loved and respected and honored, even if, you know, you're bringing constructive criticism to them. And also, one of the things that we kind of try to be mindful in our relationship is of our love languages, and really kind of keeping in mind the ways that I like to be loved and the way that he likes to be loved, because, you know, a lot of times people don't always have the same love language. So we tend to love other people the way that we want to be loved. But if another person doesn't receive love in that way, they receive it in a different way, you know, there can be a lot of hurt feelings and perceived neglect if you're not mindful of that. So it's important, I think, also
Yeah,
to know what that is.
yeah. You as I'll say as a man, you know, as just as a couple, you both have to be willing to do things differently to be able to kind of think differently in your approach, and also be able to kind of have that intuitive feel for your significant other, you know, about what they're feeling about. I mean, everything is a frequency and a vibration, and so you know when you know your wife or your girlfriend or significant other is not in a good mood, because you know you just know. And so again, it's about having that sensitivity and then humbling yourself and say, "Hey, what's wrong?" And then being able to be quiet and listen and until what that person is saying, and then from that, take notes, write it down, do whatever you need to do, write it on the. I put mine on the mirror. She said this, she said that. So when I go brush my teeth or wash my face, whatever she said or what I got it on the mirror, so I know, you know, this is important to her. This is a love language that she needs to hear from me, and so you know, it's just about humility and just really just kind of just getting out of yourself, and of course not taking things personal, because if you're with someone that loves you, then everything is done in love. It's all done in love.
Yeah. And just like a video that I made earlier today about, you know, again, some of the things that you're talking about and some of the ways that of approaching relationship. When I say that we've done the work, I mean that in order to be able to be humble and to be vulnerable, you have to have first been able to be humble and be vulnerable to your own self. You have to be able to be compassionate towards yourself. So you're not going to be able to be a good communicator, or, you know, be honest or be compassionate or listen to another person until you can first do those things with yourself. So the relationship with yourself always is the top priority. And when you kind of celebrate that relationship with yourself, I think is the best state possible to enter into a union with. Because until you've worked out all those issues, they're going to come up in relationship. Who you are is going to come up in a relationship no matter what. So when you talk about toxic relationships, and this is something that I've had a lot of experience with, just understanding that, I think it's easy for us to say, oh, I was with a toxic person, or that was a toxic relationship. But understand that if you were with a toxic person and you were in a toxic relationship, you were also toxic, because you cannot be you cannot be in any relationship that does not identify who you are. And I think that right there is that perspective also takes a lot of humility, to be able to not just blame the other person, to be able to understand that, you know what, this person had these toxic traits, which means that I also identified and was magnetized and was attracted those toxic traits as well. I was codependent. I was, had narcissistic tendencies, whatever the case is, whatever type of, toxicity that you find as a theme in your life, you have to humble yourself enough to understand that you also embody those.
Also, one thing I liked about my wife is that she would have love songs to herself, or she would be playing love songs. I'm like, "Are you playing this love song?" And it was like, well, this is my love song to me. And I'm like, really? And also, just having flowers, that she would send flowers to herself and just do a lot of things that she would just do for herself. It wasn't necessarily that somebody was giving her flowers or anything. It was just the way she would love herself. And I'm like, wow.
And he was buying me. He hasn't bought me flowers in a while, but he was buying me flowers, because that is so true, that it's like a cliche saying, like, you teach other people how to treat you. But this is such a period in my life when I started my business, and I was single, and just kind of I took the time to understand and really pay attention to what I like and what I enjoy and what I appreciate. What type of foods do I really enjoy, like to eat? What type of environment do I like to be in? What type of music do I like to listen to? And I gave those things to myself. I didn't wait for someone else to do it for me. I didn't wait for, a guy to give me flowers. If I see flowers in the store and I like them, I'm going to have them so I can see them every day, so I can wake up to them. If I like a certain dessert from a certain place, I'm going to take myself, I'm going to go sit down, or I'm not going to sit down. I'm going to go get that dessert. I don't need someone else's presence to enjoy myself, to get to know myself, to get to understand the things that make me tick. And so when you take the time to really kind of date yourself and fall in love with yourself, you then become really magnetic to other people. And so, again, when he came in my life and he kind of was observing me and the way that I had, kind of set my life up, it was like, okay, there's a standard I have to hold up to here, because this is this is the only thing she's going to tolerate, basically.
Right. And so, that was exciting to see, because I was kind of in a similar position. I had my own place, and wasn't in a real relationship. Had friends, but I wasn't really, serious about anyone. But I was serious about making a change in my life and having something more than just a friend, and having someone that I could, my term is to build with. And so that was kind of my personal objective. I wasn't necessarily looking, but I was open to the universe for God to bless me. And so, I had gotten really good about just being by myself, and not necessarily having to have a relationship. And so, with that, I think that's how she ended up appearing and coming to my life, because I I had gotten good about being by myself, and I
Yeah.
think that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I too. So like, I've heard people say like, oh, as soon as I stopped looking for a relationship, that's when I found one. And so my experience with that was that it wasn't that I didn't want to be in a committed relationship. It was that I was okay with not having it. So, I feel like I defined to God, hey, this is what I ideally would like. But the thing is like, you have to, when I say you have to make a decision, you have to, again, be willing to say no to anything that isn't that. So a lot of times I can speak for myself and women in general, because I have a lot of women in my life, is that we'll know what we want, but because we feel like what we want isn't available to us at a particular time, we will settle and and accept less than what it is that we want. And we'll do that for the sake of companionship or, other benefits, right? But then what winds up happening is that thing that's not what we want is now taking up space. It's taking up energy in our lives. And so what I can say about our union is that I had come to a point in my life where, I was very resolute in saying no. As soon as, if I would entertain a situation, as soon as it was, revealed to me like, hey, red flag, I would immediately say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not even going to entertain it, because I think a lot of times we justify like, oh, well, I'm going to just do it for this, or I'm just going to do it for that, or just for a little while. And the thing is that when you build that relationship with yourself and you truly love yourself, you don't need anyone else's company. You don't need, I know a lot of people are like, well, I need it, I need some, I'm trying to be family friendly, even though this is not really a family conversation, but like, I want to, but I just need to have sex. Like, we have really good sex. It's like, at the end of the day, though, you can do that for yourself. I mean, there's nothing truly that you actually need from another person. You really don't. And so what I was going to say, I went kind of on a tangent, but not to say that I wasn't looking for it, but I kind of let it go. I was like, okay, I've already been clear about what it is that I want. Now I'm just going to let it go. Instead of, every situation that came my way, kind of like anxiously like, oh my God, is this the one? I just trusted like God is going to show me who the one is. If there is a one for me, if there is a one for me. So I've already come to terms with maybe there isn't a one for me. And maybe I'm just going to spend the rest of my life being happy with myself and really being okay with that, And I think it's important to be okay with that, because a lot of times it's like we say we're okay with that, but we're not. But we're still like anxiously kind of like finding or trying to find a reason to hold on to anything that may come our way, that may have an inklings of the one.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like you go into a restaurant and you place an order, you got a menu, and you got a favorite dish. I mean, you kind of know what you like. I mean, you know what you want on that menu, and but you're thinking about trying something else, but you know what you like. It is nothing wrong with it. But I mean, you place the order and you say, well, I'm gonna try this or whatever. But in your mindset, you want to get this certain thing, and then you get to the, they bring it up, and you're about to eat it, and you taste it, like it's okay, but it's not that dish that I wanted. And I think that in life, with the universe and God, I mean, you can have what you want on the menu, or have them make what you want. Tell them, say, I don't want that, make this. Have them make what you want in the restaurant. And so don't settle. Don't settle.
Because you wind up wasting time when you settle.
Don't settle.
You waste a lot of time settling.
Right. I mean, really.
Folks are scared to be alone. And the thing is that if you don't want to be alone, then you need to be alone. Because you need to get to a point where you're okay being alone.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. If you don't want to be alone with yourself, that means that you need more time alone with yourself. Because if you can't enjoy your own company, if you can't understand what makes you tick, you are not going to be in a healthy, successful relationship.
Right.
It's not going to be possible for you.
And as as you're working to attract the mate that you want to have, again, you're leveling yourself up. You're putting in the work, body, mind, spirit, prayer, meditation, eating right, just everything, speaking right. You're doing the work on yourself. So as you level yourself up, you'll be again magnetic to a type of person that you're going to attract, that is into the same thing that you're doing. It's really feeling your vibration of who you are, and you're not having to bring that person up.
Yeah, you're attracting yourself.
Right, exactly. So you don't want to be in a situation where you feel like you're having to level somebody up. You want them to meet you where you are, and you both grow together.
Because I'm gonna let you in on a secret. If you're in a situationship or a relationship where you feel like you're having to pull somebody up, first and foremost, number one, you're not as high as you think you are, because if you were, you wouldn't be entertaining a lower frequency like that. That's first and foremost. So for everyone who thinks that they're like improving or saving or rescuing someone, that's already a toxic mentality. You do not have the ability to save or rescue or level anyone else up other than yourself. The best thing that you can do for another person is to stand in your own power and allow them to meet you there. Thinking that you're helping someone or you're saving, that's ego talk.
Mm-hmm.
It never works. Never ever works. So if in a situation and you're telling yourself that, you're not being honest with yourself. And it's actually a self-worth issue to think that, it's a self-worth issue to allow yourself to be treated poorly.
Right.
For the sake of, I'm trying to help them though.
Right.
It's both. It's
right. But I would say to all the Yes God women out there, I always say that well, I hear there are no good black men out there, and I beg to differ. I think there are good black men out there. I think that a lot of times I guess there's certain standards, and there's nothing wrong with having standards. But I think sometimes women miss a diamond in the rough. I think there are a lot of good eligible men. I'm not going to say black men, but because I'm being biased, I'm a black man. But I just think that sometimes I'm gonna say you don't want to be used or burned or anything. But like I said, there's really some good brothers out there that again are doing self work, and are being passed over because they may not have the material possessions or material status that sometimes women look. And not all women are like that. But again,
plenty. Yeah, there are plenty.
Yeah.
Somebody said there are plenty. Can I jump in and add something
Yeah.
real quick? I just want to say too that on top of what my husband is talking about, we have to empower men to step up, and that means not tolerating their bullshit. Let's be frank, okay? Because the thing is that when we're settling and we're allowing ourselves to be treated in ways that are less than honorable or less than what we expect and less than what feels good to us, then we are not helping these men by letting them think it's okay to treat women that way. We have to be unified and understand that how people do anything is how they do everything. So in us having boundaries and us being able to say, no, I'm not accepting that. No, I'm not accepting GM as an acceptable greeting. Like if you're too lazy to type out good morning, you're too lazy to be in a relationship. How you do anything is how you do everything. So we have to stop tolerating these half-stepping approaches to communication and relationship from people. Because when we start to say no to that, then we can start a kind of a a vibration of, oh, I gotta step myself up. Dang, I can't. Okay, let me think about that. Because people change when they're forced to.
Right.
Most people don't change out of comfort. You know, now I can't, now as far as my Yes God family, and I can't even say that because even a lot of my change and transformation came because I was in painful situations. And I was at a point in my life where I was like, okay, I got to do something different because what I'm doing isn't working. So yes, it does take a certain type of person to be proactive and say, you know what, I want to become better and better. But most times, initially, anyone who wants to make a change about themselves is because they are in pain or they're not happy with where they currently are. Right. So in order to help other people to change, we have to stop allowing them to do the bare minimum.
Right. So, you know, for all the Yes God women out here, you know, of course you guys have a standard for yourself. But, you know, when again a man approaches you, that he just can't come to you any kind of way. Mm-hmm. There's gotta be a certain standard, and you can't tell him.
You gotta do it.
He gotta figure it out. You can't help him out. He gotta figure out the standard. And when he comes to step to you about conversation or whatever it is that, hey, I need you to come talk to me and relate to me on this way. And if he's pursuing you, he will figure it out and be like, okay, this is her expectation.
Yeah. A man will figure out. A man will. It isn't it's in a. And I'm forgive me. I'm speaking on the basis of heterosexual relationship because that's my experience. But right. I can't even say a man. I believe a person.
Across the board.
A person will go for what they want.
Right.
If a person wants something, they're going to figure out a way to get it. Right. And so I was just saying in a man because it's a man's nature to hunt. It's a man's nature to pursue. And so a lot of times, you know, we don't even give them the opportunity to do that because we're just saying yes, 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 all of us, you know, up front, where we should be saying no. Right. No, I'm not doing that. No, that's too late to call. No, that's too late to come over. No, you can't text me at 2:00 in the morning and think you're going to get a response. Or you think I'm going to come over. You think you're going to come over. Like, you know, we have to know is a very important word to establish boundaries and to teach people what isn't acceptable when dealing with us.
And so when you start setting those boundaries and things like that, certain people, not just certain people start dropping off in your life. And so it's not, so that means it's more than just, you know, a love relationship. It's a relationship with the type of people that you have around you. And so now that you're operating on a certain expectation of communication and relationship, then certain people come into your life that, you know, just like, hey, I like how you think, or I like how you talk. And it changes everything. You know, it just changes so much for the better. It really does.
Hold on one second here. Children, what do we say about that volume? Yes. I don't think anyone had any questions. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up unless anyone does have any questions. Let me just go back and see. Yes. Small. Yeah, I don't see any questions. Nobody submitted any questions. Nope, I don't see any questions submitted. So anyways, thank you all for spending a couple minutes with us tonight. Hopefully you got something out of this. It's our intention to be back here next Saturday night. So if you do have questions or any topics that you want to discuss or you want us to discuss, please feel free to submit them on the form in my bio, and we'll talk to you later. I hope you have an amazing night.
Bye.
Good night. Stop that one too. Download that.
Look at this camera.
I know he was.
Yeah.